Ethan and I are here at V's Barbershop in Bucktown, interviewing my good friend. He is actually my good friend. He was at my wedding.
Ethan's my good friend too.
But you guys just met today. You had phone calls previously.
We've contacted electronically, communicated that way.
Yeah. We're here with Rick Telander. We have a ton of things to talk about. The first one I wanted to get into, I'm sure you never get tired of talking about this, is your legendary book, Heaven is a Playground. For those who haven't read it, I highly recommend it. I'll loan you my copy. For those who haven't read it, it's about you as a young white man putting together a team of young basketball players, black basketball players from the inner city, and it chronicles that timeline. When Pat Riley did that same thing and won 5 championships, did that piss you off?
Well, yeah, a lot of people use the model that I started.
Right.
Yes.
And you never got that. Yes.
We should call it the Telander model, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you're right. And
there's John Wooden, Rick Telander.
Yeah.
The white shadow was clearly me, and then Pat.
That came after your book.
Yeah, yeah. And they stole it, but Pat Riley did everything that I did, except he went a little farther with the hair, with
the hair and
the gel.
And he did it at the professional level. You did
right.
it. You did it at the recreational level.
If you judge yourself and your worth and your existence here on Earth by how much money you make, yeah, it's very shallow.
I mean, you've sold a lot of these books, and they did make it into a movie.
So many, Brad. That's like Scrooge McDuck, where he dives off that diving board into his money.
Yeah, that's you.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do because of that book.
Sports Illustrated, which used to be a magazine, and for those...
What's that magazine?
Right, for those of us born before 1995, a magazine was a printed collection of words published periodically that was mailed to people's homes or purchased at newsstands.
God.
Newsstands were places where creepy old men bought pornography.
Don't tell him, tell me. Yeah.
Before you could get, I'm telling everybody, before you could get it for free online. But so they ranked your book the 15th best sports book of all time. How did it piss you off to have 14 books that were rated higher than yours?
I checked out to see how many of the authors are still alive.
Very few.
That's right. Some are just clinging by a thread. I want to see who's richer.
Right, true.
No, I kind of let that slide, a lot of it.
So this is to commemorate you being having written the number 15 best sports book of all time. I'm number 1 except for 14 others. You can have that, and then we also have I'm number 15. So
I will wear that proudly.
all right, great.
Which one will you wear?
That does.
Yeah.
I went men's XL. I hope that's okay.
A little like something that Johnny Wad might wear.
Who's that? Oh no, we're not talking about that. We're not. I know who you mean now. Among other things you did, you in the, I guess it was what, 80s, early 90s, were on a show called Sports Reporters on TV.
Sports writers.
Sports Writers on TV. Sorry. You were on a show.
Words matter, Brad.
We're gonna fire him as soon as this interview.
I know they do. I'm sorry, but that wound up, and there are clips of it available online. That wound up being the inspiration for a lot of roundtable sports argument type shows that are mainstream today. I want to know, would you be willing to apologize for creating that trend of these sports argument shows? And if so, can you please do it screaming like Stephen A. Smith?
Like Screaming A. Well, yes, I should apologize. Let me channel him if I could. That show.
Yeah, scream louder, louder.
That show is a virus. And I mean, not just a retrovirus or a norovirus. That show is a noro-retro coronavirus. And it has hurt us, and it has hurt me personally. And it is something that infects you like a virus in the middle of the night that comes up your arm, under your nightie, and goes up the side of your face, into your ear, and into your brain. And the next day, you are not even human.
And scene.
That was impressive. The fact that we're not getting a round of applause here from thousands is thank you. I mean, unbelievable.
Screaming A is a friend of mine.
I've met him too. He's a nice guy.
Well, I've had a chance to study him in bar-type settings, and I want to say, Screaming, you know, dude, it's just me, okay? You know, it's not Dolan of the Knicks. The man is ruining the Knicks. Why I have to live with this? I mean, it's just
There's no switch.
Yeah.
That's
him.
That was very well done. That might be the only thing we need to air for.
How often do you do that impression?
How long?
How often do you do that impression?
That's it.
Okay.
First and only?
That's a one-off, yes, indeed. I've never been asked. I've never thought of it, and
that was great.
Yeah, thank you.
That was really good. Sports writers on TV also served as inspiration for SNL's superfans.
Yeah, right.
Did you ever get any residuals for that?
Yes.
Really?
Well, every year I get big slabs of meat, ribs, macaroni and cheese.
And then you get to do the Chris Farley grabber.
I get free a subscription to Roto-Rooter. Any arteries that are associated with my heart can be cleansed for free.
Perfect.
Yeah, I saw George Wendt and Robert
Smigel, yeah.
Yeah, they were at Soldier Field this last summer with Peyton Manning.
Yep.
And I asked Smigel, I said, why didn't you have any of the guys smoke cigars? Because he always did, you know, what's that?
With Triumph, yeah.
Triumph,
Insult comic
whatever.
code.
He's got a cigar. And it seemed like a natural. He said, you know, I don't know. I said, well, don't start now.
Those guys were legendary. I mean, the Bulls had them at their parades and stuff, and yeah. So you don't get residuals that are spendable. You get residuals that are consumable.
And again, if everything comes down to money,
right?
If that's the only way you see
everything
things,
comes down to meat, but that's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Young. What's your lesson for young Ethan?
Well, you know, you came into this world naked. You go out the same way. I mean, with clothes, but you don't need anything else.
With like your third best suit.
These people that just chasing after money and dreams that can't come true.
Right.
I'm glad that we're different. We have better things to do.
What was the most controversial piece you wrote for Sports Illustrated?
Oh boy. There was one on Bill Walton right at the start when Bill Walton was with the
Blazers?
The Trailblazers.
Yeah. Bill Walton on the Blazers is kind of a perfect thing.
Well, he couldn't stand it because it rained in Portland. He needed the sun. And he had a ponytail and he used to go around, he had a bag of granola. He was so skinny, he was all into the health foods. I mean, he was out there and he was apparently, allegedly, well, he had an A-frame. I went to his A-frame in Portland, and Patty Hearst had allegedly been there. Jack Scott, the radical, whatever, sports guy. But he wanted to go to San Diego. Walton did. He wasn't playing.
And the Clippers were in San Diego.
Yes, and so he needed the sun. And I remember writing that story, and they brought me into New York to talk about it, these older editors and that. I was only 23, I guess 24. And they thought maybe I could deal with him because he was really hard to comprehend, and he had a really bad stutter. And I found him a fascinating guy, especially to see what he is now. This wild, you know, kind of Grateful Dead, dope smoking guy who has become this icon. And I think he finally found his niche now. But anyway, that was a pretty controversial one.
What was controversial about it?
Just that here was a player, there was a scene that I had in the story in which it's a practice. I'm there in the Portland gym. Nobody else is there. I can't remember who the coach was. Sidney Wicks was on the team. I'd have to go back and really think hard about who all was on that team. But they didn't like Walton or they bombarded him with basketballs. It started out as being funny, kind of like dodgeball. Now these are grown men throwing basketballs coming from all over, and he's ducking. He's kind of like at the middle of the court. And it's like, wow, this is really wild.
Yeah.
So that scene got a lot of, you know, I don't know, things were much slower then. If you wanted to complain about something, you either had to pick up a phone and dial long distance, which would cost $10 to call New York.
Right.
Or send a letter. There's nothing else you could do. So you had to wait. It wasn't instantaneous.
You couldn't tweet about it.
Now.
Twitter hasn't always been around.
So there you go.
You've covered a number of Olympics. Mm-hmm. And I've had conversations with you about some of your favorite Olympic locations, but I don't think we've ever talked about the worst Olympics you ever covered?
The worst. Okay, let's see. So, well, Atlanta, I've got to say, because they had bus drivers who would take you around to all the venues, the sports writers, and we're scattered all over the city and the region. And these bus drivers, some were from Alabama and wherever. They didn't know where they were going. So you get on a bus, leaving like the the track venue, and you want to go to your Holiday Inn because everybody's in a Holiday Inn. Only thing is, there's about 1,000 Holiday Inns, and each one of them is across from a Waffle House. Every one of them. And
I'm a big fan of the Waffle House. Are you a fan of
me
Waffle
too.
House? Okay.
So
But it's got to be next to the correct hotel.
I was there for 2.5 weeks, and I ate there. I gained 10 pounds, and most of it I never lost. I asked for fruit one time. You got any fruit?
It's
said, yeah, they pour out that fruit cocktail. It's like,
Yeah.
It's like, could I just have a bag of sugar too?
I actually had the same experience at a Waffle House, and they didn't even have that. I was super hungover, and they just had like strawberry waffles. So it was like processed
fruit. That's pretty good.
Baked into the waffle. Yeah. Anyway.
So anyway, I got off the bus one time, and there's my Holiday Inn or whatever, and there's a Waffle House, but it was the wrong one, and I didn't know where I was. I got off. I was there. I'm just wandering around, and it took me forever to find out where I was actually staying. But it was kind of a gross place, and then also, unfortunately, that bomb went off
Right.
in Centennial Park, and I remember I was having dinner with a bunch of Sports Illustrated guys, a whole bunch of us, Jack McCown and Rick Riley and Roy Blunt and Steve Russian was there. Bambi Wolf, the late Bambi Wolf, she was a great editor. And we heard about this, and it was like, what? That was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever hitchhiked?
Oh, yeah.
Let's hear that story.
Oh, I hitchhiked.
There's a lot of stories.
And hop freight trains. That was.
Hop freight trains?
Yeah.
Where was this? Should we go do this right now?
When
I wouldn't recommend it.
After I was college, I took one all the way to Los Angeles one time. Took one down to New Orleans from here. And then also I started a couple places. I took a lot of it.
What's the game plan there? What is the sequence of events that leads to it?
You don't see it as much anymore, but they'd have boxcars and the door would be open. So you'd wait for them. First you go to the train yard.
Right.
Chicago's got great trains, central trains going all over the country, Union Pacific, everything. You talk to some of the hobos that are there, find out what's going where, and they tell you. You got to avoid the yard bull. These guys are badass, but I was young, man, I could run. And I remember one time, one thing you learn is never get on a train till it starts, never get off while it's still running. I mean, always get off while it's still moving, because those dudes are waiting for you, and
they knew there'd be people riding the rails.
Beat the shit out of you. I mean, that's the old thing, to get arrested. But once you're on the train, it's fabulous. And I shared one going. We were real near Mexico. We're going down to near Needles, Arizona, I think. It was hotter than hell. But I was on the back of a grain car with this Mexican dude, and the train was full of people. I mean, and we got stopped by the Border Patrol, and they took everybody off. They let me, guys, okay, because I'm
right.
a citizen. And then my guy who I was with was sharing a bottle of mezcal, and they're all.
What year is this?
They're arresting everybody. Early 70s, and they put the guy back on the train with me.
That's cool.
So we're on the back of grain cars that kind of slope like this, and there's a little platform at the back. And so we're there, we're drinking mezcal, it's got that worm in the bottle. We finally get to LA, and we are shit-faced. But it was so much fun, man. Wind's blowing on you and stuff. And
different era.
Yeah.
What did you tell your parents?
You couldn't talk to anybody back then because there were no phones. You had to go to a pay.
Where did they think you were? Did they know you were riding the rails?
I apologize to my mom for everything I ever did. She lived to be 93, and I loved her to death. And I realized I just tormented her.
My grandfather during the Depression rode the rails up to a logging camp in Wisconsin, and he was promised a job there. And when he got there, he was supposed to be assisting like the chef or the cook, whatever. And when he got there, there was someone else who was told they'd get that same job. So they drew straws for it, and my grandfather won. So he got to stay. The other guy had to go back.
Jeez.
My grandmother never wanted my grandfather to tell me that story because she thought that would be like, that would inspire me to ride the rails.
Or inspire you to become a logger?
Yeah, none of the above, dude. Like, I'm not doing any of that.
I'm surprised they didn't have the two guys wrestle to death.
Well, yeah,
at least give them knives.
Yeah, pulling straws was the story I was told. Maybe there was a knife fight involved.
You could take trains back then. You know, now after 9/11, I don't think, I've thought about it.
You thought about riding?
Doing it again?
Absolutely, I would do it again in a heartbeat.
But you can't run like you used to, I imagine.
No, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
I'll ride the rails with you, but let's take an Amtrak.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Well, I like taking
They're
regular.
nice. Amtraks are comfortable.
I like
They have
regular
Wi-Fi.
trains. That clickety clack it's so soothing.
There's
There's just something
something
about
hypnotic.
it.
I just
about
need
it.
to clarify, when you got on the train, did you know for sure where it was going, or you were
No.
just like,
Good point.
Yeah.
And you
Riding the rails with Rick Telander.
you would hope you did not, because they're going all over. Now you can generally tell, you know, which direction this is into the yard, that's out. That might be going that way. It looks like it's going west. But a couple times I'd have to wait till the next town to find out where.
Would you fall asleep on the train ever?
Yeah, I think I did. You know, long ones. But I tell you what, they're always stopping, and when it's a freight car, they're dumping cars, and so there's these like booms, and you hear boom, 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 come all the way down through the train like dominoes, and your whole car would shake as they're getting rid of one or adding one.
Right.
And the other thing, this is the really scary part. I was out in, I was taking one from Wyoming, Cheyenne, out to LA or to San Francisco. And it was beautiful, man. And I'm the back of a pickup truck because there's a car.
Who's driving?
carrying- Huh?
Who's driving?
Yeah, I was driving, man. I couldn't get in it. But, you know, there's about 3, 4, 5 pickup trucks, you know,
Okay.
like stacked up on a car.
Oh, on a train.
On a train.
Oh, okay.
So
I
I'm
thought
on
you were
train.
like taking
No,
a
no,
pickup
it
truck.
was
Got it.
And I had my sleeping bag out, and I'm looking at the stars, and it's just beautiful. The pickup truck, what could be better for cruising along through the summer? It was August, and we went through, all of a sudden it got pitch black and smoky, and we were going through a tunnel, in a mountain tunnel somewhere in Colorado, and I damn near died, asphyxiated. I mean,
Because it's
the train-
all-
in the tunnel. It was a
the
long
exhaust
tunnel.
and everything.
Nobody told me about that.
That wasn't in the
when
manual?
you
No.
snuck onto the train, it
Woo!
wasn't very
When
good.
we came out of that, I thought I'd been through hell. It got real hot and smoky and pitch black, and it lasted a couple minutes.
I'm glad you survived.
Grandfather tell you about that?
And
No, it
in that
No.
moment,
Well,
in
they're
that
not
moment,
right.
were you full of regret?
Regret?
Yeah, well, you're in
Well, I
the
was
tunnels,
thinking,
in that
I was
moment,
young,
you're
and I was
thinking-
thinking, you know, when they find my body, I don't want my mom to be upset. My dad, you know, he always told me, Rick, you should be an accountant. You know, or we're going to law, and I didn't do any of it.
Did you start putting pen to paper there and writing a letter to your
No,
parents?
I couldn't see a damn thing.
And he was just trying to hold his breath. He was just trying to get through.
No, I just freaked out.
So back to my question. Back to my question. Remind me what year it was that you briefly hosted a sports talk radio show here in town?
Probably, yeah, like,
05, 06.
yeah, somewhere in there.
I remember. So approximately. You quit on the air.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody I know has just dreamed of that kind of moment where like they can just take this job and shove it kind of thing. Just quit their job in the spur of the moment. What's your best advice on how to do that, seeing as you've actually done it?
To quit? Oh,
Just
right.
quit in the...
Well, whatever you got, it's an apron, whatever, a spoon, a spatula, or maybe
A microphone in your case.
you drop it and you just say, you know, everybody, it's been great, and you know, have a good time. Bye bye, and then shuffle out. I mean, I hadn't planned that.
It was just...
Our ratings were going up. It was me and Doug Buffone and Mike Muller.
Jay Hood, I thought, or was he...
Who?
Wasn't Jonathan Hood?
Well, it started with Hood, but then
Okay.
Mitch Rosen had, you know,
Shuffled
had mixed
things
things up. And I've talked to Mitch since. He wasn't real happy. He was driving his car when he heard it. And he says to this day he almost drove off the road and crashed. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. To this day, I can't fully explain it. But I know, listen, I was writing 4 columns a week for the Sun-Times. I had 4 kids. I was doing this radio show where I had to be there. I had to get on the, like, I want to say 10:20 train.
From
And
Lake Forest, so
From
kind
Lake
of a
Forest.
long commute.
Huh? Yeah, and
Long
I had to
commute.
get up by, you know, to read the newspaper and stuff, get up by like 8:30 or whatever. I do that, I go there, we were on from 2 to 6:30, I think. Get done with that. I'd write a column. I would go have a martini or whatever, or something, or a salad at, downstairs there at the, I can't even remember what the place, or across the street. And I'd get on the train, get home at like midnight, and I'd do it again. And then on weekends I was traveling.
Yeah.
And then the main thing was my son was just starting to play. I was going to miss all of his 8th grade or 9th grade football games or something. And it's just, I'm thinking, what am I doing?
Right.
I was making a ton of money, Brad. We do care about money. I was, you know, it's like, but for what?
Right.
And it just all of a sudden it hit me, and we were doing well. Our ratings had come out. Everything was good. Everybody was happy. And I remember when I said it, there were guys that came to the window, like the producers and stuff, and they're like, as I'm saying this, you know, by the fade out music, it's like Springsteen or something. And Mully actually had tears.
What did you say exactly? Do you remember?
I don't really remember. I think it was something like, you know, it's been great. I love you guys, and the show's been fun. But, you know, I think this is my last one. And I had it, somebody said, what do you mean? On air.
I mean, they must have thought you were joking. Like,
I'm
I would have
sure
thought you were
they did.
joking.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. And
You had a contract.
yeah.
Okay.
So they kept, you know, I mean, you're going to sue somebody to come back on air?
Right. That's like trying to sue to keep.
You know how
together.
radio people always get fired.
Right.
That's one thing that's known, and you always end up getting screwed.
Very cutthroat industry.
Well,
Yes.
I was a little preemptive, that's all.
Good on you. So your advice is basically like, take your apron, take your spatula, whatever, throw it
What
down.
was,
Like,
what was that
be
guy's
nice.
name? Who wrote that? Who did that song? Take this job and show
Yeah,
it.
Johnny Paycheck.
Johnny Paycheck.
Which is kind of ironic that his name was Paycheck. And he
not
finally quit
ironic
his
at all.
job.
It's very precise.
So there's a legendary story from the mid 2000s approximately. You were in the Cubs press box and almost got into a fist fight with a former colleague of yours at the Sun-Times, Jay Mariotti. Can you confirm or deny that story?
We supposed to? Oh, okay.
No, I can't.
Okay. Well, assuming it's true, people from this town who remember him would want to know why you didn't just have the stones to cold cock him.
Okay, well, we're assuming this.
Assuming it happened.
Let's say this happened,
Yeah.
even which is a leap.
Right.
Let's also assume there's another baseball writer there named Chris DeLuca.
Okay.
Chris DeLuca was baseball writer now, sports editor at the Sun-Times. He, let's say if he happened, he didn't like commotions or noise or whatever. He might have come in and separated.
So the Sun-Times had 3 people in the booth at this point for when this happened, and you, Jay, and Chris allegedly, if this ever would have happened,
Right.
came and broke it up.
Right.
But hypothetically, had he not come in to break it up, how do you think it would have ended hypothetically had any of this ever happened at all?
Oh, it might have been ugly.
I did do a little bit of research for this interview, and I knew this previously, that you were in the Chiefs training camp in 1971. Some places I saw said you were drafted, but I actually I skimmed through. Wikipedia has back then there were 17 rounds in the draft.
So,
I could not find your name.
It's there.
What round?
8th round.
Really?
Yes, 17 rounds. Can you imagine back then when they
What are
didn't know
they now?
anything?
7, right?
I mean, if average should be 17 rounds to be now, you know everything about every player. Back then, Hank Stram and these guys would just say, you know, this guy's got a football-sounding name.
The Chiefs were they were they not that good back then?
Well,
I'm not saying that just because they drafted you.
No.
I'm saying
Listen,
because I remember they were in the Super Bowl a few years earlier, but
yes, they still had all the guys who'd been in the Super Bowl.
like Len Dawson was.
They must have had 8 Hall of Famers. Hank Stram was there. Jan Stenerud, he's in the Hall of Fame. I'd stay out and catch kicks.
Yeah.
I liked him. Jan was like, oh yeah, come on down, Rick. Yeah. And I said, Jan, I'll catch those. Okay, good. That'd be good. You go down there. And he would kick 65-yard field goals. And I'd stay out after practice because it was just magnificent to see this thing. It was fabulous.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I'm in there, 8th round.
I'll look again. I mean,
Yeah.
Wikipedia is rarely wrong,
man.
but I did. In fairness, I started with the 17th
When's the
round.
last time
Why did you Control F? Why didn't you find it? Search for it in the document.
That's a good question.
When was the last time you donated money to Wikipedia to keep it going?
Yeah, I never.
Yeah, Brad.
Well, You get what you pay for.
That's true. That's true. You get what you pay for. One of the topics that you wrote about a lot in the 80s and at times continue to is what you see as hypocrisy, that college athletes are not paid and the NCAA generates billions of dollars. You wrote about that a lot in the 80s, and now that problem has been solved. So how does it feel to have been a part of the solution?
It feels really good because the national championship game there at Clemson and LSU, the two coaching staffs between them made $27 million. You know that. And they all got bumps of like $100,000. And the players, you might have noticed, all got free cash from Odell Beckham.
Yeah.
Well, they also got millions of high fives. And what's really more important, as we just talked about earlier, what is money, right? Wouldn't you rather have the high fives instead?
You know something, Ethan? You've learned a lot. And if this is my legacy when I'm gone, the kids like him, and, you know, young, what are you, a Gen X?
I'm Generation X, yeah.
Gen X. If
I'm 43.
The upper tier of it.
No, I'm actually right.
What are you called?
Smack dab in the
What
middle.
are your people called?
Millennials.
Millennials.
What a
What's
stupid
the one under
name.
you?
Zennials? Generation Z?
Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Gen Z, I think.
Yeah, whatever. We're all screwed.
God help us.
Speaking of that, that's a great segue. A lot of conversations you and I have had over the years have been about getting older. What's the shittiest thing about getting old?
Well, kind of being crippled, you know. That's not fun.
How much do you attribute that to your football playing days?
Well, I contributed a lot to my football days, but I contributed more to my pickup basketball days. I played. I think I've even said to Michael Jordan, I bet I played more basketball than you have.
Dude, this is did you read these questions? Because my next question is about Michael Jordan.
I'm all about segues. No, I'll talk about Mike forever, me and Mike. But anyway,
I like that it's Mike. It's not Michael.
Yeah. Mike.
Yeah.
What's up, Mike?
Same for
thousands and thousands of hours of pickup basketball, and quite often on asphalt.
Yeah.
And you know what
That's
that
good
does
for the knees. Yeah.
So
you have both your original knees?
I got them both replaced.
Oh, replaced.
Yeah. So actually, they don't bother me at all.
By a doctor or just a friend?
I feel pretty good.
A friendly doctor.
You had a T-shirt on that said "Running sucks."
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. People that think running is fun, I've never understood that. It was punishment for everything, every sport I ever played. Get out there and run. God damn it, Telander, you lazy turd. You're going to, go around the track. 50.
Yeah, running sucks.
Yeah, it's the worst.
It's not good for your knees, right? Yeah.
Okay, so that, and actually a good thing is hair loss, because I don't go to barbershops.
Who cut your hair? It looks.
But if you were
cut
to
your own
go
hair.
to a barbershop,
I learned how to do it, huh?
If you were to go to a barbershop, though, you would go to V's Barbershop in Bucktown.
This is a great
Park.
barbershop.
Yeah. Okay.
But I would ask for a discount. I mean, honest to God, how long can you make it last?
Yeah, back to my grandfather. He used to get his hair cut, and they would charge him the full price. And he
What
only
was grandfather Zabung's name?
It wasn't Zabung. It was my mom's side.
Himmler?
Ehlertz. It was of German descent,
Yes.
but not Himmler. No. Ehlert was his last. Victor Ehlert. Yeah.
Wisconsin.
Oh yeah. He used to complain that he didn't get a disc. He had to pay the full price, even though he had half a head of hair. Right. There's something to that.
It's absolutely something to it, and I wouldn't be offended if a barbershop had a sign that said, "Not much hair, don't pay much."
Yeah,
Maybe
maybe V's can work on a promotion like that.
But he's got a lot of hair. I would charge him extra.
For now. Yeah. Everyone who has a full head of hair thinks they're going to have forever. I'm here to tell you that is not the
Either
case.
way, I have it now.
Yeah, for now.
You don't know the hell that's ahead of you, son.
Right.
It's true.
So yeah, okay, that's a new V's Barbershop
Other than
promotion.
that,
half price for half heads.
I thought it was you don't know the hell that's ahead of you. I thought that's the V's Barbershop slogan now or no?
Half a head, half price.
That's life slogan.
Yeah.
Okay, so you brought up Michael Jordan.
Mike
Jordan. Yeah. I originally was going to talk with you. Have you ever played poker with Michael Jordan?
No, but he still hasn't paid me.
For what?
For what you know the classic thing. If you beat him, if he owes you money, he doesn't pay.
Really?
Well, you remember that book, Richard Esquinas, Michael and Me, Our Gambling Addiction or something, or the golfer? Well, and it's something like he owed him $250,000.
He just never paid.
Well, that's what you hear. But
how much does he owe you?
I didn't, huh?
How much does he owe you?
Whatever he lost in the poker games we didn't play. I did play him in pool one time in his basement. when he was just.
When he lived up in Highland Park with the house that's still for sale?
Yeah. Yep, exactly that one. And I was kind of, it was a little thing. We're playing 8-ball. It's not full size. And anybody.
Because he had a small house. He couldn't afford a full-size table.
That's right. His mom was there. Upstairs cooking pancakes or something. And anyway,
that sounds like a Prince story.
Classic Mike, man.
With Charlie Murphy made pancakes. Anyway, keep going.
It's true.
So you're hanging out at Jordan's house. His mom's making pancakes.
True. So I was ahead. 8-ball. I had solids. He had stripes or whatever, and he kind of got mad.
Yeah, he's very competitive.
I saw that like, and he won. I mean, he sunk the 8-ball. He beat me, but he wasn't great, and I certainly wasn't good. But yeah.
When was the last time you've corresponded with Mike Jordan?
It's been a while. Since he went to Charlotte, actually it made my life a lot easier because everybody said, "Hey, listen, we'd really like you
You were the inroad for Michael.
Everybody. I mean, a freelance, or Sports Illustrated or ESPN the magazine or whatever. And I did do several cover stories for ESPN the magazine when I switched. Kind of was doing the sports reporters on TV with Dick Schaap. It was a ripoff of the sports writers, but you had to fly to New York, and that was miserable. So I quit that too. Kind of a quitter.
You're good at quitting. I like that.
Kind of a quitter.
I've never really quit much, and I should start.
Well, you have to have something to quit.
That's
first.
true. I have nothing, so what can I quit?
What do you think about about this shirt and the cheating scandals in baseball?
Oh.
What are your thoughts?
Oh, that's what. Oh, this is a brand new shirt. I was thinking.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, I thought this was a long time ago. Well, why doesn't it have a garbage can on there?
That's next.
That's the next.
That's version 2.0. Yeah.
I mean, they use something that's sophisticated. That's a real camera.
Right. Well, that's what they have in center field to make sure that they can relay the sign, and then they got a trash can guy.
What I think about it all is it's kind of ridiculous. Baseball has these rituals that go back to the 1800s. To see these guys doing this stuff and everything, like, for God's sake, come up with something else.
Right.
We got past smoke signals, didn't we?
Yeah.
Telegraph or telephone. Oh my God, we got this thing. Oh. And there's still guys doing this and all that stuff, and you're allowed to steal those signals, but you just can't use technology. So come on. The only person that really needs to know all this stuff is the catcher and the pitcher. Catcher is not going to catch a 103-mile-an-hour fastball in his throat when he thinks a low and outside 80-mile-an-hour curveball is coming. That's dangerous. But the rest of the nonsense, they figured out another way to do it. And remember the wind walkers or whatever they called them, the Indians?
Wind talkers, I believe.
Yeah, Native Americans came up with a code that nobody could, during World War II.
Yeah, change up your signs a little bit.
For God's sake,
yeah.
This is your curveball, and they do the same thing again and again. And the guy's throwing one fastball, like you got a fastball.
It sounds to me like you're victim blaming.
What call it that? Victim shaming.
Victim shaming. Yeah.
Just some internet word that you guys have come up with.
I hear what you're saying.
Young people drive me out of my mind. God Almighty, can we go back to the way it used to be back in the good old 60s?
Speaking of
when you could ride the rails.
Yeah, ride the rails.
Speaking of that, have you ever heard of TikTok?
Yeah, I've heard of it, and I wanted to know what that is.
Well, I wanted to ask you, based just on the name TikTok, what do you think?
Something involving a clock.
I don't know what it is either. So
It's had mouse traps or something. No, but I've heard people are shamed on TikTok or something. I don't. God knows, I'm still dealing with this Chicago pay for my car and the meter.
Oh, right. Speaking of that, are you good on your meter?
I'm good.
Okay.
Well, TikTok is a social media channel, just so you know. Now you know. It's just like it's like another version. I have actually never really been on it, but that's so I hear.
He's too old for TikTok.
Yeah, I'm too old for TikTok.
We were playing Flip Cup.
Flip Cup.
Yeah.
Flip Cup and TikTok.
TikTok, yeah.
Yes.
And had you known what TikTok was back when you were riding the rails, that could have been really, really fun to kind of tell the whole story of your rail riding experience on TikTok. People really loved it. You take videos and put it on.
And then you put music to it.
Yeah.
I don't.
I really have never been.
Does it bother you that?
Yes.
You don't. Okay. Your whole lives are.
Yes.
I mean, the Truman Show was like, oh my God, somebody's life is revealed.
Do you know what that is?
I do know.
Whose life isn't revealed?
Yeah.
Every kid
and now we put so much data out there that there's facial recognition technology coming out where you can just take a picture of
Right.
someone on the street and
Right.
within seconds you can have their name and address.
Know whether or not they used to be a rail rider or not.
Yeah.
Okay, people don't realize that privacy equals freedom. Without privacy, you're not free. So I just want you to know that George Orwell, everybody,
Yeah.
the satellite's watching us right now.
Probably. We talked about Michael Jordan. You've spent a lot of time with Mike Ditka.
Sure.
Is he a crazy genius or just crazy?
Wow. Hadn't thought of that. Well, crazy genius. Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Well, because he has done exceptional things, and like won a Super Bowl, punched a locker, broke his hand, and had a cast. The next week, told his team, "Let's win one for Lefty." That's genius.
That's pretty genius.
He has this focus and intensity that is just something that is like incredible. To see him as an actual athlete, I think guys on his own team at Pitt were terrified of him. I mean, there's stories of him going in the locker room where they're behind and beating up his own players for not playing hard enough. He would die on a football field. Okay, so no, he's one of a kind, and I love the guy, man. We will never have another Ditka. I think we all can agree on that.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I love the name.
There's no T in that name. It's Ditka.
Ditka. I love the name of the book that you wrote with him, which is In Life.
In life, you
First you
kick ass. Yeah. You know what? Because of that title, they wouldn't stock it at Walmart, I think. But they got any kind of rifle, clips, everything.
Right. Well, we gotta have
Kick
fun.
ass.
Right.
Woo.
Right. True or false? LeBron is better than Jordan.
False.
Steroids should be legal in sports.
False.
The NBA should change its logo from a silhouette of Jerry West to a silhouette of Brian Scalabrine.
True.
That would be great.
Oh
right?
my God. Of course.
What
In
happened?
color though.
In color.
Red.
The
Yeah,
headband.
red hair, yeah.
Red hair. Yeah. What happened to Sports Illustrated is an inevitable fate that's going to happen to all of us.
True.
CTE will be the downfall of the NFL.
False.
What will be the downfall of the NFL then? Will there be a downfall?
Another sport, rollerball or something like that.
You heard it here first.
Rollerball.
Okay. Coming at you 2025.
True or false? College athletes should be paid.
True.
True or false? The Ricketts are good for the Cubs.
False.
Can you explain that one? I mean, they won a World Series.
Yeah, they did. What position did they play? Okay.
That's a good point.
Yeah, they did. I mean, whatever. I don't know. It's a mess. They did. 108 years of suffering are over, and I just like. And it started again though. The clock, tick-tock, whatever this thing is. There it is. They're in year 5 of the 108-year quest.
So there's 103 years left, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. I don't necessarily doubt that.
Okay.
I kind of liked it better when they sucked. There was no pressure. There was no expectations.
That's true. Boy, in the 70s.
What a loser mentality that is to say that.
Whatever.
In the
it was,
70s,
it was more fun.
I had a press pass. It was, the press pass was just a white card, whatever. And, said on the back, and then on the front it had little check marks where you could go on field, press box, pink poodle, all that stuff.
Pink Poodle.
That was like, I think, what the restaurant was called.
Oh.
Why? Don't ask me. But anyway, I Xeroxed a bunch of them. And came out to friends.
Yeah.
And came up with fake names. I whited out stuff, fake names for magazines. And they would just go, you could sit anywhere.
Good luck doing
today.
that today.
Yeah.
You could
Right.
today, everything, you'd be in prison.
Let's talk for a second about the bowls. True or false? The current bowls would be better if they had better players.
True.
True or false? They'd be better if they had better coaches.
True.
Okay, we'll give you that one. True or false? The answer is going to be false. Garpax is not as bad as everyone thinks at their job.
True, because they think they're terrible and they're bad.
So
They're awful, but
so they're as bad. They are as bad as everyone thinks.
yeah. Well, people think they're horrible, and they're only one notch above horrible.
What's it going to take for there to be a regime change in the front office at the Bulls?
Probably Reinsdorf selling the team or something. They're there.
But he's never going to sell the team.
You know those journalists who were embedded, like
Yeah.
in the Middle East? They're embedded. It's
Right.
like a tick.
Tick-tock.
Two ticks.
Ticks.
You know, you're in Wisconsin. They have deer ticks and stuff.
We have them here now too. They're
Yeah,
migrating
then
south.
there's the bigger ticks. They just grow like if you used to have a dog go down in the woods and come back and the tick could be there.
Right.
You wouldn't see it till it was really big.
That's Garpax.
Pretty much. You had to take a cigarette to burn them off.
That's actually the Bulls' model this year, I think. True or false? The Astros cheating scandal is worse than the PED scandal of the late '90s and early 2000s. Which one's worse?
No, I mean false.
Which one's worse?
The drug taking.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't. You know, did Altuve hit any homers because of signs?
Maybe.
Here's the thing that gets me about this stealing signs. Players and managers go around and around. So you're on the Astros, you get traded somewhere, maybe not the Red Sox, somewhere else. Don't you say, hey, dude, when we play them, look at that camera out there. Now I'm on the other team. I mean, it happens, right?
Well, that's why it all came to light, right? With Mike.
But why doesn't
Fiers.
it come out all the time about everybody? Because managers get fired and then they go to another team and they, you know, if you got a good system, you're going to take it to.
Well, they said that the opposing teams knew. That's why when Rawls Chapman gave up that home run, he was smiling as he walked off the field because he knew they were stealing his signs. That's not. He wasn't smiling because he's psychotic, which he is psychotic.
We
but he
watch
wasn't.
home run derby too, and
Yeah.
these guys can't even hit home runs when they know they got their dad throwing pus right over the middle of the plate.
That's fair. It's not all about the home runs, though. I mean, like the Astros at home were hitting like
Hit behind,
400.
take two and hit the right.
Yeah, exactly. That's
I shouldn't demean it, but this stealing, this sign stuff in baseball, all these guys look like St. Vitus dance. You ever heard of that? Where it's some disease
No.
where people twitch and stuff.
no, I've never.
I'd be embarrassed. I'm an old man, and I'm wearing a uniform, first of all, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
And you're 70 years old. And
Once you're over 50, you should not wear. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And somebody like Grandpa.
Do you think those managers are ever going to get jobs again? Hinge and Cora and Beltran, who never even
That
managed.
really sucks for Cora, man. That was,
But he was in the middle of all of it.
well, I know, but I mean, he was just, his career was just ascending, you know.
But he was cheating.
Well, okay, I'm not saying it's bad.
Well, you said it sucks for him.
Sucks for him, yeah. But like if you got run over by a truck and you were jaywalking, I say it sucks for Brad. And I say,
But his,
well, he
what he
deserved
did,
it.
no, it wouldn't be on the level of jaywalking.
No, when someone murders someone, it's
Let's
sucks
say
that they
you
have
got
to
a
go to
shotgun
prison
and you're
afterwards.
going-
I see
If I get hit by a car while I was carjacking someone, that's a little bit more.
Okay, better parallel.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Who did you vote for this last round? Only Jeter and Larry Walker got in. Who did you
I
vote
did
for?
not vote for Walker.
Yeah, I mean, he played in Colorado. He was never like
It
a.
was the thin air thing. You know what? The way I judge things, you can look at stats forever.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Hall of Fame, and I take it seriously. Sometimes I goofed around with it because of all the steroid stuff, but I look at it like, what was the player when they came to town to play the Cubs or the Sox that I really wanted to see? Who was a player?
I never bought a ticket because I want to see Larry
I
Walker.
never heard anybody say anything about, oh my God, Larry Walker's here. But all these other guys, you knew you were.
I was more in awe of Todd Helton than I was Larry Walker, and Helton is.
Well, and you know
bubble
what I
guy.
noticed about this voting this year? Only two guys got in, but there's players moving up, and Clemens and Bonds are on their way up. And Schilling, I voted for Schilling. I know he's. Some people have doubts about him, but I always thought something special about him, the bloody sock and all that.
Yeah.
And I don't like the Red Sox either, but he's got 70%. He should make it next year. Walker
Walker had like 20% last year, and what changed in
I
one year
think
that
it
suddenly
must
he's
be
a Hall of
a
Famer?
sympathy vote. It must be, they do PR campaigns. I don't know if they did one for him. It's like, quit blaming Coors Field for the, thin air. I don't know. I really don't know.
Also, who's the one jagoff who didn't vote for Jeter?
I don't know. But we find out.
I was hoping you were going to say it was you.
Huh?
I was hoping you would say it was you.
That'd be a big reveal for the show.
I wouldn't do something that's stupid.
Wait, but you had a bunch of. There was a year where you're.
No, I know, because I'm protesting the steroid thing. I had a statement at the baseball writers' meeting at the World Series. Everybody was there. Bud Selig was coming in, but he wasn't there then. All the writers are assembled. I said, we've got to do something about this steroid stuff, because Bonds and Sosa and McGuire and all these guys, Giambi, they were just jacked. They were walking around like muscle men. I knew what was going on. I said, these numbers are inflated. We have to come up with an asterisk or some kind of solution to this, can we at least form a committee to talk about what should be done about the steroid era? And it got voted down very narrowly with the main group voting against it being a bunch of Japanese writers who they were at a table, and I found out later they didn't actually understand what the proposition was. And Jack O'Connell, who's, like the secretary, kind of runs it, he was against it, but a lot of people were for it, so we could explain it. So I voted for Ken Caminiti, and I think I voted for Canseco. And my point was, Caminiti was an MVP,
right?
And Canseco had a boatload of homers, but let's just go with it then.
And you talked earlier about no one went to see the Rockies play because of Larry Walker. People went to see the A's play because of Jose Canseco.
The Bash brothers?
Oh my God, they were. I mean, I don't know how you go all revisionist on it. You either let them all in or you don't. To have voted Piazza in.
Well, see, I made a stance. I won't vote for Bonds or Clemens or McGuire or Giambi.
What about Sosa?
No, I won't vote for Sosa. He's got 604 home runs. I mean, I just had to take a stand. I'll let the younger generation. They'll come in. They'll vote him in. Ethan.
When Ethan gets
do everything we did, you're going to undo it. You're like Donald Trump.
Oh, I was hoping to make it the entire interview without.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't. Me too. But he's kind of on my mind.
So, Rick, here at V's, they have a ton of really cool, mostly Chicago sports icons up on the wall, but we noticed they didn't have one of you.
No.
This is the East-West Shrine game, you said?
Yeah.
What year approximately?
Approximately, not approximately, but exactly 1971.
71. What position are you playing?
I was a cornerback.
Cornerback?
Yep.
I would have guessed it by looking at it.
Well.
So we're gonna replace Manny Pacquiao up on the wall here, yeah. And then there we go. You're gonna be forever enshrined at
sweet.
Forever enshrined at
very sweet, man.
How's it feel?
I looked pretty bad, man.
Badass.
I know.
The eye black, yeah.
The eye black, which does nothing. And that was stuff you couldn't. That wasn't tape. That was like you put black.
You can kind of still see it.